welcome to the Northwest Treatment Vidcast.
Hello, everybody. Today I am very excited to introduce to you Diane, who is a dear friend of both Jessica and I. Diane, could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, I am a licensed massage therapist. I've been a massage therapist for about 6 years now. And I come from a background of a lot of different hats, but mainly like customer service and graphic design. So a lot of sitting down in chairs for a good while. So having a change to switch over to massage was very fortuitous, and I'm excited to have this new kind of career path in my life because it's something that I've always done and just didn't realize that could be a career and way later.
That makes sense. And going into something that can help yourself as well as others, and you can kind of rely on the fact that you used to be in that position of that office worker, not moving much, being stuck in a chair, which, as we all know, is not good for us. And yet that's the majority of so many of our lives and our careers, let alone with what's going on with COVID, being stuck and working at home.
Absolutely. There has been a lot of new clients that I've had that are just got completely different work setups at home. So their ergonomics is not the same. They're crouched over dining room tables or in the kitchen and then just trying to figure out how to continue to move on with their life, and also with small children and schooling and trying to balance that. And there's a lot of stress involved and a lot of definitely weird postures and sustained kind of sitting in awkward positions. So yeah.
I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't had any of those issues at home ever. Actually, no, I think I'm one of the weird people because I think my setup at home is actually better than what I had in my office.
For a physical setup, but you still have your kids that you're running around after.
Oh yeah, for sure. So then within your profession, what effects have you seen with like mental health or substance use?
So definitely mental health has taken a huge hit, especially with the pandemic. These last few months, a lot of folks have been coming in and they are very stressed out. There's just too much uncertainty, so there's not enough information to kind of plan for the future because we're not quite sure how it's gonna unfold. So all of this stuff kind of gets locked into muscles, and so and then we were at my work, we were down for 3 months because we were trying to do quarantine and trying to make sure we were keeping everyone safe. And so a lot of folks didn't go and to get their regular massages. So they've got the compounded stress of everything going on in the world, plus the stress of uncertainty. And then also if they used to get massages on the regular and they're used to going outside and doing a bunch of stuff, that starts to compound as well. And so I've got a lot of folks that have started to like try out the CBD stuff to try to kind of help out with pain in the meantime and before they're able to kind of get in and kind of see us again. So it has been definitely a switch of mental health and coping mechanisms and trying to find any way to try to alleviate the pain and the stress all at the same time.
That makes sense. That makes sense. And you also, I believe, I remember it was you that mentioned something about that occasionally people who do get a massage, especially if they haven't done it either ever or just in a while, might actually have an emotional response just to getting a massage.
Absolutely. So we call those emotional releases. And what happens is sometimes when you have a traumatic event in your life, it gets locked down in the muscle. So especially you are entering like a fight or flight response and your muscles are tense. And sometimes in releasing a certain muscle that may have just been kind of closed off and tight for years, you kind of trigger that memory. So once you let that muscle let go, that memory resurfaces, and then your client isn't immediately in a kind of a trauma loop essentially as they're remembering what's happening, but they also have this kind of release of that muscle letting go. And there's sort of a therapeutic roadway here of it's something that they remember, but it's also something that is being let go. And so at that point, you just kind of take your hands off. You know that you let them know that you're there for them and just kind of let them work through it because these things happen sometimes. And it's amazing. Like muscles are really amazing. I mean, the whole point of stress is that it is gearing your muscles up for that fight or flight response. So you're either going to run away really fast or you're going to fight something. And so your muscles just completely tense up. They're prepared for whatever you need. But in our kind of modern age, that stress comes from workplace stuff. That stress comes from things you can't run away from or you can't fight. So your body, your brain doesn't really know how to let go afterwards. It's just immediately kind of stuck in the loop. And so that's kind of actually what we do with as massage therapists is we try to break that loop. And with having like that muscle release, the emotional release, that is a way to kind of help clients move past something that could have been just buried and stuck for a while.
That makes sense.
Yeah, actually, that is something I tell my clients all the time, that after you've had a stressful experience and you start shaking from the adrenaline, don't stop your body from shaking. You need to shake it out. Literally need to shake it out.
Right.
Yeah.
And have that physical response.
Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then one of the questions I know we get asked as therapists often from somebody coming in the door first is something about how often should I plan to come or anything. Do you have a general rule of thumb when people are like, I want to be a reoccurring client, anything like that? Like if they're working on stuff?
I do. It is all key to listening to your body. You are in your body the entire time. I am not. So it's a good rule of thumb of like when you start to feel pain or you start to feel tense, like you know what your body feels like when it is relaxed, when everything's okay. And then you know what that starts to feel like when you're looking in the mirror and your shoulders are up here. So that's when you should decide to come back in. If there is like a reoccurring issue, like say if we're working on a particular chronic situation, then we kind of want to see the person more often than every few months, just so we can kind of piggyback off of progress we've made. And sometimes I'm like, I love to tell clients too, is like, I would love to fix you in one session. That would be amazing. But sometimes it has taken years for your body to get into the position, into the situation it's in, the condition it's in. And so it's going to take a couple of tries to start to release those muscles again, to remind them how they used to feel, to remind them, hey, this position is not a normal position for your muscles. This is just a stress response. This is how your brain has now reprogrammed itself, going, oh, this is my new normal, and it shouldn't be. But we kind of lack the tools to relax and let go a lot because it's continual stress, continual day-to-day life stuff. Yeah.
Great.
It's entirely up to the person, for sure. Like you can have someone who comes in and is completely locked up, and after that session feels great. And then like 2 months can go by and they're still feeling great. Good. You don't need to come in. Just come in when you want to. Come in when you start to feel it, you know?
Very cool. And would you say there's any 3 main points you would want to share with our audience?
Again, kind of piggybacking to stress is important to acknowledge. It is a physical thing that happens to your body. A lot of us try to think of like stress as, oh, I should be fine, but stress can make us sick. Stress can actually affect our muscles and hurt us. So give yourself some slack, be kind to yourself, and recognize that stress is also an important thing to acknowledge. It affects mental and physical health. And to make sure that self-care is included in things that you do on a daily basis. A lot of us tend to be caretakers and take care of everyone else around us. We forget that we need to take time for us because we can't keep pouring from an empty cup. Like we can't keep helping other people if we're not at the right capacity to do it.
What would you consider to be like self-care things?
So self-care things are to do things that make you happy, that you can kind of disconnect from whatever stress that you're experiencing. If it is like just 10 minutes outside, just like listening to the sounds of nature. If yoga is your thing, if meditating is your thing, do that. If reading like awesome horror stuff is your thing, do that. Like, but just carve out like an hour or so that is just for you and do some stretches, you know, like listen to your body, go get a massage, go take a bath, some things that are just only about you and how you're feeling. So like some people are like love cooking. And so like that's the whole go to the kitchen, make something amazing, and de-stress at the same time. So one of the third things that absolutely everybody always tells me when they come in is like, oh, my posture's so bad. It is not really about your posture at all. Sure, it definitely factors in, but it's the problem of people sitting down for 8 hours at a time, or even more, especially when you're working from home. Most folks are going to be working more than their scheduled time because it's right there. You could just chop back in and just, check that email, or just, you're right there. Basically, it's more of the factor of getting up and moving around. You can have like the best posture possible the entire time, but if you're sitting still and you're at the computer or at a desk or even standing, if you are just sitting or standing straight for 3 to 4 hours at a time, your body is locking up. That is it being rigid. That is it trying to maintain this form that you have put upon it. Like you've told your brain, this is how we're supposed to be. But movement is the key. Movement keeps you loose. It helps you move around. It makes those muscles be able to contract and relax as you need. So I always recommend to people, like, set a timer for yourself. Every hour, set like 5 minutes out of an hour, stand up, have a little dance party. And that'll just kind of like shake yourself out. It will help you to relax a bit too. And it kind of takes you out of your headspace. And I know for my coder people and other folks that are just zoomed right in, it's hard to do that unless you have a reminder.
True.
Yeah, for sure. Like I know I can definitely get carried away, and then later it's like, oh, 4 hours later, I am still in the same position.
Yeah, and we have to prioritize that and do something about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. And I know folks are like, well, I drink a lot of water, so I get up and move around. Cool. So you're getting up and you're going to sit down again.
Right.
But well, you're getting up. But like take 5 minutes out of that hour and just move around and, do a little bit of something.
That makes a lot of sense. So to end our interviews, we always ask the same 6 questions of all of our guests. And so the question is based upon proofs of his questionnaire from 1924. And the first question is, where else would you live?
The UK, definitely.
And then what else would you want to do?
I author for sure. That's kind of where I'm leaning.
What is your least favorite word?
My least favorite word is parallel, and that's because I can't spell it.
It's a hard one.
I know.
And what about your favorite word?
Oh, peninsula. I just love how it sounds, how it rolls off the tongue.
And what makes you miserable?
Isolation. I'm a people person.
And what makes you happy?
Belonging.
Good ones. Well, thank you so much, Diane, for joining in and joining us today and answering questions. We'll definitely make sure to put links down in the description if you want to find out more about Diane and her work in the Portland area in Oregon.
We are being very safe. We are requiring everyone to wear masks the entire time throughout the massages. We're doing everything we can to make sure we keep people safe, but also so we can work on you and make you feel better.
Love that. And so with that, we wish you all to be well.
Thanks.